my next question says, is it okay to watch certain rated R movies? And then they say, I see certain parts of scripture that are technically rated R. When does it become sinful or not?
Yeah, that is a really good question. Generally speaking, I don't watch R-rated movies because usually they're rated R just because of filthy language and sexual scenes and that kind of stuff. And so if it's rated R and it's just for violence and people getting their heads blown off and things like that, I'm cool with that. No, I'm just joking. I don't go to those either. Generally speaking, I just don't go to R-rated movies because, again, the world knows what I'm supposed to be looking like, and so I'm real careful about that. There have been some movies that I went to watch that were rated R because of the content. So Schindler's List, for example, when that came out. I know what the R rating's for. I know why they're doing that, and so that's a movie I went to. I believe the Mel Gibson's movie about
Passion of the Christ.
Passion of the Christ was rated R too.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that's rated R because of the graphic nature of Jesus' death on the cross, and so obviously I don't have a problem with that.
Right.
Of course, I watched it that one time at the movies, and I haven't watched it since because it's so intense. That's not a statement about whether or not anybody else should. It's just that's my preference. I still have those images kind of burned into my head, and there's stuff that I just don't want to see over and over. Even going through the Gospels, I have a hard time when I get to the end because I don't like the story. I don't like it that Jesus had to do that for me. I like it that he did, but I don't like it that he had to. And so that would be the difference. I'm not there to see some other man's wife naked. I'm not there to see some woman naked. I'm not there to see people having sex. I'm not interested in language that's just filthy for no good reason. It's just wild. I mean, the movies I go to are PG movies, and they're allowed so many cuss words. And it's wild when you're going through a whole movie and everything's fine, and they throw in this cuss word just because they can.
Yeah.
And it's irritating. So, a lot of times with a lot of movies, I just opt out until they come out on TV, and I don't have to deal with it. Even on my TV, I've got Dish Network, and they've got a setting on my TV where you can block out all the cuss words.
Like a clear play thing.
Yeah, it's like a clear play, and it's right on the thing. And so I got that going. And so actually it's pretty funny at times that the things that they bring up on the screen for when somebody's going off on something. And so
what do you mean? Does it
it does a closed captioning.
Oh, okay.
On the bottom of the screen.
Right.
And it puts in different words.
Oh, it does. Oh, it's okay.
Just blanks it out.
I'm like, what does it do? Put like a emoji over their mouth or something as you're watching it?
No, it's like their mouth will be moving and saying different words, and you're reading something on the screen that's absolutely different. It can be pretty hilarious.
So like you're saying with the movies and different content, I mean, there's some really cool like World War II documentaries and stuff, and even movies that honor the sacrifice that veterans have done for the country and things that interest me and stuff like that. But the issue really is, like we were talking about before, of the question of hanging with unbelievers. It's the what you look like to them, so stumbling your brother out of Romans, and then it's stumbling yourself.
Right.
So is that content, especially if you go into movies, I'm going because of the war scenes, and like what's the I haven't seen it, but it's all over social media with Game of Thrones.
Oh, Game of Thrones, yeah.
The huge popular movie, and it's got the Viking things that I'm into, but the one guy I talked to said it's like watching a porno.
Yeah.
It's an HBO thing.
Yeah.
And so say something that you're into, and then you watch that, and all of a sudden you're inserting this garbage into your mind, and that's when Satan and the enemy can take over, and now all of a sudden you're going places that you never would have went had you have not watched that.
Right, exactly. Especially with guys, they're visually oriented, and that stuff just gets in your head, and you can't get rid of it. It's like before I was a Christian, I'm reading filthy magazines and stuff like that, and they're it's like I could sit here and think about it and go back to pictures that I saw way back then, and it's you want in your head,
right?
It's just stuff that you have to turn away from later on, and so again, it's one of those things where you have to watch out for your walk, and so when I'm looking at the whole R-rated thing, even for World War II movies and those kinds of things, you know, a lot of times the 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 impact of the content is not going to change if I wait a couple of months and wait till it comes out on TV. It's like, you know, the stuff that they've got in there for most of the R ratings. I don't literally need to see limbs blown off of people, you know, to know that those things are going on. You know, in a lot of ways, I like the old time movies because they left some things to your imagination, and you didn't have to see the graphic nature of all those things. But you know, when I look at the issues that have to do with just the worldliness and the especially the whole sexual thing, it's just not worth it. It's not something that I'm supposed to be doing. Jesus said that if you look on a woman to lust after her, you've committed adultery with her in your heart. It doesn't matter if it's on a screen or if it's, you know, in person. You know, those things are not supposed to be happening in a believer's life. And so why would I put myself through that? Why would I put my wife through that? Where, you know, I'm sitting there at a movie watching a sex scene with some lady that has, you know, a body that's been altered with plastic surgery or whatever, and having my wife have to compare herself to that. You know, there's all kinds of issues that can come up with this stuff, and they're just things that aren't worth dealing with. And so that's what I do. I just keep myself out of that because I don't want to wreck my walk, and I don't want to wreck things between me and my wife. I don't want to stumble her. And then obviously I'm a Christian, and I'm not doing this because I'm a pastor. This has been the issue with me for a very long time. I'm a Christian, and a lot of the people who know me are non-Christians, and there's a standard there, and they expect me to keep the standard, and I don't mind. I think it's a good standard. I think the standards that unbelievers have for Christians are a lot of the standards that we need to be meeting up to.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah.